come, whoever you are. You are welcomed here at Emerson. No matter who you love or whatever your theological or spiritual beliefs, you are welcomed here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears in your eyes, you are welcomed here. If you come with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands, then you are indeed welcomed here. We at Emerson honor the inherent worth and dignity of each and every person. Welcome. Good morning. My name is Bernadine Cataletta, and I serve on the worship committee. I'd like to offer a welcome to those of you who may be joining us for the first time or perhaps returning after an absence. We hope you are nourished in heart and mind by our worship today. I want to offer a special welcome to Ed Cosper, our speaker for today's Father's Day service. Ed and his wife Kathy have a combined family of 6 children, 15 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. Ed celebrated 50 years of fatherhood this past February. During those 50 years, Ed has earned many titles of fatherhood. Ed answers to Dad, Daddy, my pops, my old man, stepdaddy Eddie, Grandpa, Gramps, and Pop Eddie. Our service today is entitled Father's Day, a lesson learned, or many lessons learned. Following our service, there will be religious exploration for children, youth, and adults. Please refer to the order of service for today's schedule.
Unfortunately, Mark could not join us to light our chalice this morning, so we will be moving on to the opening words from Ed Cosper.
Good morning. I'd like to share some words with you this morning from Lorraine Butteroff McNeil. Today is Father's Day, a day in which we honor and offer gratitude for our fathers in whatever form or fashion they come into our lives. You know, that's biological fathers, stepfathers, adoptive and foster fathers, grandfathers, spiritual fathers, and all of the uncles and brothers and friends who, whether they know it or not, have helped to fill the role of father in someone's life. We are shaped by their presence and their absence, by how they choose to act and when they abstain, what they say, and when they remain silent. Let us remember today and always the impact that these people have on us as individuals and as a community. And let us also remember that this relationship is not one-sided and that we as a community are all called to support and empower the fathers of this world. No matter how they came into their roles and regardless of their relative successes or failures, let us raise up their triumphs and let us have the grace to forgive them their all too human failures. Let us love our fathers and each other. Come and let us worship together. Please join me in singing hymn number 360, Here We Have Gathered.
May all who seek here find a kindly word. I'm Ginger White, a member of our Emerson Pastoral Care Team. We're available with a listening ear to support you during challenging times. Contact us anytime through pastoralcare@emersonuu.org, which is also in the order of service. At this time in our service, we pause to share personal joys and sorrows of our Emerson community. We encourage you to email us your joy or sorrow through pastoralcare@emersonuu.org to be included in the upcoming Sunday service. After I share today's joys and sorrows, I will light a candle. Each Sunday, we also light our Vigil Bowl candle. It represents the light of hope for peaceful resolution of conflicts on our planet. And it honors the dedicated people who serve us, especially on the front lines fighting COVID-19 and in the efforts to stop racial injustice. Today, I share these joys and sorrows with you. From Star's story, I don't think I can explain what it feels like to be embraced by our spiritual community in a time of loss and feeling lost. Thank you so very much. As a caring, blended family consisting of siblings, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, we said goodbye to Alan as part of the celebration of his life. I appreciate my Emerson family more than I could possibly tell you. And a joy and concern from me and my family. Last week, I met with my two sisters in Roanoke, Virginia, and had a wonderful week of laughing, playing Scrabble, and reminiscing. This week, my sister Myra is back in the hospital with pneumonia. Please keep her in your thoughts and prayers. We know there are joys and sorrows left unspoken, so please feel free to speak aloud the name of anyone who you hold closely in your heart this morning. Now, let us send our heartfelt intentions to people everywhere by offering the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness. The words are printed on your screen and in the order of service. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May they be free from harm or suffering. May they be well in body, heart, and mind. May they be at peace. Blessed be.
Good morning. We're the McConvilles. I'm Chris McConville. Here's Isaac McConville and Rena McConville. And we serve on the Give the Basket Committee. So once a month, we identify a charity that aligns with our UU values and raise money for them. So this month's recipient is El Refugio. And they take care of our immigrant friends down in the Stewart Detention Center down in Columbus, Georgia. So next we'll be hearing from Amilcar Valencia, the executive director down there. If you'd like to give to El Refugio this month, you can text GTB to the text to give number or visit emersonuu.org and click on the big green button. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Amilcar Valencia. I'm the Executive Director of El Refugio Ministry. And today I would like to provide you a quick update on the things that El Refugio is doing. But I want to start with the big thanks for the great support that your congregation have provided to El Refugio throughout the years, and especially during this time. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for the letters of hope. Thank you for having our back and for everything that you do to provide assistance to us so we can continue doing the work and assisting and supporting families and people detained at Stewart Detention Center. As you know, the hospitality house is closed, so we're not able to host anyone and we cannot visit people in the detention center during COVID. But we've been busy finding ways on supporting people and families. one of the things that we're doing is that we're sending some solidarity packages to families. And these packages include masks for the families, hand sanitizers, some toilet paper, and some gift cards. We know that immigrant communities have not been able to receive assistance from the government during COVID, and this is one of the ways in how we are sending some solidarity packages to them to assist them, especially because their loved ones are incarcerated and cannot provide the much needed support and assistance at this time. We continue to support people who are released from detention. There are some folks who are able to be released, not in the great numbers as we will hope, but some of them are able to go back to their communities and their families, and we continue to do that. We have deposited money into commissary accounts and phone accounts of people in detention and continue to do that during COVID. This is a much needed support for them so they can purchase items inside of the facility or phone cards to call their loved ones. We are sending letters of hope. Many folks from your congregation and other congregations are sending those cards to people in detention. It's just a matter of letting them know that they're not alone, that they're not forgotten, that there is people here who cares about them. We've been advocating directly to ICE for the release of individuals in detention. We've been advocating to the Georgia Department of Public Health to make sure that they pay attention to what's happening inside of the facility. And the last thing that we are working on is to building an advocacy team. And I'm happy to say that we're recruiting volunteers to be part of that team. And hopefully next time I'll have a better update about that. And the main goal is to provide more assistance to people, make sure that we take care of some of the concerns people have and advocate for their release. This is something that we're super excited about because we know that the main thing that people need is to be reunited with their loved ones and not be incarcerated. That's the word. Everything that we do is because of you, is because of your support. So thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you, some of you, at the house when it's safely to do so, or when you invite me back to go to your church, your congregation. Thank you so much, and take care and be safe. Bye.
Hey there, my name's Noel, and we're going to be doing the story for all ages. So I'm over here at home, dadding it up. I got a nice gift for my kids today. I don't know if you can see them, but one of the things that got me are some nice socks with their pictures on it. So the story I'm going to be telling comes from the Ashanti tribe over in Ghana, and it's a story about a dad. He's a spider named Anansi, who likes to tell stories. And I remember the thing about my dad is he always liked to tell stories. I like to tell stories to my kids, and it's just kind of a common thread. So a long time ago, there were no stories because the sky god Nyame had all of them locked up in a box, right? You wouldn't share them. So people came up to him and they said, they were kings, they were leaders, there were other figures, and they said, please, let us have some of these, let us tell them, let us share them. And Nyame just laughed and he said, no one else was allowed to have them. So finally Anansi, who's a tiny little spider dude, comes up and he says, I'd like to buy your stories from you. And Nyame says, very amused, oh, what makes you think you can afford them? And Anansi says, no, don't worry, I can afford them. Just name your price. So Nyame decides to humor the little spider, and he says, okay, fine. I have 4 beasts that you must capture and bring to me. And if you can do that, you can have my stories. And he knows that a tiny little spider guy can't possibly do all that, right? So he tasks him with capturing Onini the python, the Mbora hornets, Osebo the leopard, and one of the fairy Moatia. So Anansi goes home, and he does the first thing that a dad usually does when it's time to start planning. He goes to his wife, and he says, wife, Aso, I need to go capture the great python Onini. What do you think I should do? So she whispers into his ear, and she tells him her plan. And she says, they need you to go grab a couple of long branches from a palm tree and to go grab some creeper vines. So he says, okay, he doesn't question it. And he runs off and does that. And when they're done, they go over by the river where the great python likes to lay and rest and hunt. And to lure the python out, Anansi starts pretending that he's having an argument with his wife. And eventually the python bursts out of the water and he says, hey, what are you guys arguing about? And Anansi explains, well, my wife says that you aren't as long as this long palm tree branch. And so Nini says, yes, I am. Yes, I am. And Nancy says, well, if you want me to help you prove it, we can try that. And so Nini goes, of course, of course. So he goes and he sidles up to the tree branch. Nancy goes, okay, lay really still. We got to measure you, lay really still. And Nini goes, okay, good, I will. And so he holds really still. And then quick as a flash, Nancy goes and wraps them all up using the creeper branches. And Nini's kind of upset because he got tricked, but you know, what are you gonna do? So Nancy goes and he carries Nini all the way up to the sky god, drops him off in his little deposit box, and Nyama is impressed. But he knows that even if he was able to trick, you know, Onini's not the smartest guy, right? He's too prideful. He's not gonna be able to get the hornets. He's not gonna be able to get the tiger, and he's not gonna be able to get the fairy, right? So Nancy goes, okay, I'll be right back. So he runs down and he does another smart thing. He goes to his wife Aso and he says, hey, I need to go capture these hornets. What do you think I should do? And she says, I'll tell you, here's what you do. Get a gourd and go fill it up with water. So she tells him a plan and Nancy says, okay. So Nancy goes down to some bushes with this gourd filled with water. It's like a big, you know, empty vegetable, right? Uses a pot. And he splashes most of the water onto a bush where the hornets are, and they start buzzing around. Ooh, who did that? Who was that? Ooh. And they're mad. Well, mad as hornets. So Nancy goes and he rushes over to a tree real quick, and he goes and he cuts off a little banana leaf, you know, that he would normally use as a tiny spider, as an umbrella. He rushes down and he splashes this tiny bit of water left on top of himself. So when the hornets come out and they say, did you do this? He says, no, 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 it was raining. Look, see, my umbrella's wet. And the hornets go, oh, well, we can't argue with that, right? So he says, well, I think it might rain again. So why don't you hide inside the gourd? And the hornets go, thank you, thank you, thank you. And they all go and they fly inside the gourd. And eventually all of them were inside of it, all packed together. And he says, okay, are you guys good? Are you comfortable? They go, yes, thank you. He says, okay, and he puts the stopper on it, and all of them are trapped inside the gourd. So they're buzzing and buzzing, but they can't do anything about it. So Nancy again carries them up, walks on his, well, 6 of his 8 legs up to the sky god Nyami, drops off the package, and then says, okay, 2 down, 2 to go. And Nyami again is very impressed. So finally, he goes back to Aso yet again. That's kind of his, you know, master planner, right? And Aso says, okay, husband, here's what you do. If you want to go catch a sable the leopard, you're going to need to go make a hole. You're going to need to lay out. And he says, oh, it's okay. I got this one. So Anansi goes down. He digs a big hole, and he goes and he lays some reeds over it. So that way, when a sable is wandering around the jungle, that's just what he does, you know, the leopard's going to go stand on top of it and fall in. So this one doesn't require any complex trickery. So Nancy goes to sleep. Next morning he comes back. And what do you know? Just as he thought, there's a sable laying in the hole, real embarrassed. And Nancy goes, oh, Sable, what are you doing there? And the sable's kind of sheepish, which is weird for a leopard to be a sheep, right? And he goes, you know. And Nancy goes, were you partying too much last night, my friend? No, no. He goes, okay. Well, you know, said Anansi, I'd like to help you out, but I'm kind of worried. Why are you worried? Well, I'm worried that you'll bite me, you'll try to eat me if I try to help you out. And so he goes, no, no, I promise. And so he goes, are you crossing your paws? or Anansi says, "Are you crossing your paws?" And Sable goes, "No, no, no. See?" He goes, "Okay, well, here, I'll tell you what, to prove it." He goes and he tosses down 2 big branches, and he says, "Here, I'll help you pull you out, but you need to put your hands on these branches so that I know you're not crossing your paws." And Nazi says, or Sable says, "Okay, fine, fine." He puts his paws up there. He goes, "Put them wider, put them wider." Okay, and eventually his paws are spread out all the way. He's like, "Okay, good, good. Okay, let him go get some rope." So Nazi goes and he runs, and instead of a rope, he gets a big coconut. And he says, "Okay, close your eyes. I'm going to go drop down the rope." And Sable goes, "Okay, okay." So he drops the coconut, clunk, it hits the Sable on the head, and he falls asleep. So then Anansi goes down, wraps him up with the spider web, and carries him off once again up to Nyame, right? And Nyame is super impressed. He goes, "You've done 75% of this, the task that I've given you. That's at least a C plus, right?" But Anansi is not satisfied. He has to do the final task, which is to catch one of the Moesha fairies, right? And the Moesha are little fairies that like to prance around, and they like to go drink from bell bottoms and buttercups and all that kind of stuff. And if something like Anansi comes up to them, they're going to run off. They're going to, go flee. So after consulting again with the So, Anansi decides that he's going to go leave a little doll, a little fairy doll, and he's going to go put a pot of yams over there because fairies like yams. They're sweet. And he's going to put some in the doll's hand so it looks like the doll's been eating it. And he goes and he ties a tiny little string to the doll for a reason you'll see later. So some of them wish are going around, and one of them goes and they smell the good yams, and they go, "Oh, that smells good." And she asks the doll, "Can I have some? Can I try some?" And dolls can't talk, right? But remember, Anansi tried the string, so he tugs on it a little bit, and the doll goes, right, and nods her head. And when she goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, awesome." So she starts eating up all the yams, and when she's done, she says, "Hey, I really appreciate that. Thank you. I'm real sorry I ate all of them." And the doll doesn't do anything. Nancy doesn't pull on it. So the fairy gets kind of upset because she said, "Hey, I said I'm sorry, and I said thank you. Why isn't this this lady right here acknowledging, my thanks?" So she goes to her sister fairies and she says, "Hey, I'm real upset," right? And while she's doing that, Anansi goes over and he pours some tree sap all over the doll. And eventually the fairy sisters say, "Well, you know what? Maybe she fell asleep. So here's what you do. You try to wake her up, right?" So she goes, "Okay, fine, fine." So she goes down and she tries to wake up the doll. And her hand gets stuck. Ooh, ooh. And, she does the thing that most people do when they get stuck in a situation. She doubles down. So she takes her other hand. "Well, maybe this will wake you up." Ooh, oof. They're both stuck to the doll. And she gets her foot up. And eventually she's just all tangled up in a little mess. So Nancy takes the string he'd already tied to the doll and drags the embarrassed fairy all the way up to Nyame, the sky god. And when he presents them, the sky god's very impressed, and he goes and he calls forward all of his generals, all the mighty leaders that had tried to get the stories before, and just to let them honor Anansi. And when he gives them to Anansi, what Anansi does is he starts spreading all the stories out to all the people of the world. And that's where we get stories. That's how parents are able to tell stories to their little kids. That's how kids are able to tell stories to their parents. And that's how I'm able to tell stories to you guys. So will you now join me for the Song of Dedication?
Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship. Thus do we covenant with each other. Thus do we promise to each other.
And now, we like to take a moment for prayerful meditation. I'd like to share a meditation with you today by Rod Richards. But let's first, with soft eyes or closed eyes, let's connect with our breaths. Let's take 3 deep breaths and focus there. On this Father's Day, we recognize the vast spectrum of experience and the often complicated feelings that surround such a celebration. We honor those fathers and father figures in our lives who have loved, supported, encouraged, and instructed us. And we seek to share these gifts with others. We mourn with those who mourn the loss of a father and fathers who mourn the loss of a child, whether separated by death or estrangement. We support those whom this day brings pain and sorrow, who suffered abandonment, neglect, and abuse. We support and celebrate the fathers in our midst who give of themselves to their children, recognizing all the strength and wisdom and stamina and love and time and honest introspection that fatherhood requires. We support those men who choose not to have children, yet who are present in loving and supportive ways to children, youth, and adults alike. And we seek to honor wherever we find ourselves today across this vast spectrum of experience, and to feel the compassion that embraces us within this silence. As you feel ready, you may open your eyes and rejoin us as we have our anthem today, which was not only composed musically, but also produced by none other than Bruce King. And thank you, Bruce. That was magnificent. Good morning. Happy Father's Day. I'm so excited. It's my special day, second only to my birthday and third behind Christmas. Oops. Okay, Kathy, settle down. Fourth behind Christmas. Kathy wants my anniversary in there as well. Well, have I got some stories to share with you? Just think of me as the male version of Ann Landers or Dear Abby, with thoughts about Father's Day. Whether you're honoring your father or grandfather or just sharing a story about your personal experience as a father, these memories and experiences have a flavor all their own. So let's begin. You know, being a parent is not that easy. Though most of us try to make it seem that way, there was no handbook or Google or YouTube or how-to videos. And back in the day, we didn't even have Pampers. It was the cloth diaper and diaper pail. And now, I know some of you are trying to forget that image, but in truth be known, if the truth be known, y'all did it. And you even put that diaper pin in between your lips. I'm just saying. Our first entry this morning comes from none other than Ronnie Robb. Ronnie says this: my favorite memories with my father, John Fraser, include laughing and playing Pong, dominoes, watching Woody Woodpecker and W.C. Fields. Wow, what great memories, Ronnie. What is Pong? Oh, just kidding, just kidding. Thank you for your entry. Our second entry comes from Olivia, Lucas, and Stella. This is submitted by Paulina Rivera, and we get from Olivia saying, I like my daddy because he's funny and he reads me stories. He lets me play video games when my mom isn't looking, and he is my favorite person. Well, I love you, Daddy. Thank you, Olivia. And, oh, Lucas says, I love you, Daddy. Thank you for being my dad. I like the stories you read me. I like when you take me places. Thanks, Lucas. And, oh, little Stella, I like my daddy because he plays with me and cooks with me. And I like that he plays with me and tells me stories. Well, guys, I just have to say, you guys make me giggle. Your mom and dad are so proud of you. Our third entry this morning comes from Lynn Smith. Lynn shares with us, she starts with, hi, Ed. I lost my dad, Angelo, when I was in my 20s. He was not an emotionally available man, and he didn't say, I love you much. I struggled with that when he was alive and when I was young. 20 plus years later, I understand and appreciate that his way of loving me was through his actions, constantly checking the oil in my car, helping me fix up my first house, always doing something for me. When I think of him now, it is a reminder to me that more than anything else, love really is a verb. I'm sorry I didn't get it sooner, Dad. Thank you, and I love you. You know, Lynn, sometimes it takes a moment or two to sort through this stuff and to get to a place in life when we can more easily and more clearly see. So thank you, Lynn, for sharing that with us. Our fourth entry this morning comes from Ania Robb. Ania shares with us, I am very grateful for my father. He has provided me with more than I could imagine and is there for me no matter what. He has taught me many things such as fishing, driving, and to never give up when things get rough. My favorite memory with my father was when we spontaneously decided to get our first dog, something I had been begging for years. I am very thankful to have my father. Well, Anya, I can hear the excitement in your voice when you write about your father. I would love to meet such a person one day. Oh, I mean, just kidding. I know your dad. He and I are great friends. All right, number 5. Number 5 today is going to be submitted by none other than Claude Fravian. Claude's father's story. Claude says, I have always had a fraught relationship with my dad, being born the first son of a veteran, religious, patriarchal, man's kind of man. From childhood, I knew and he knew this plan had a few flaws. I have always related to my mother more and have my mom's jovial personality. So for most of my life, my relationship with my dad has been about misunderstanding each other, except for this one special moment. When I was about 8 years old, my dad secretly took me to a James Bond movie. Shock, horror, secular, heresy. Oh, people gonna be talking. The people gonna be talking if you get caught. I was too young to appreciate the movie, but I remember how I felt. In those hours, I felt special. I saw my dad relax and enjoy himself, and I think it was one of the few moments that my dad and I shared space that was not about expectations. Folks, I don't know about you, but there were a whole bunch of emotions in there, yet a special moment was shared. Thank you for sharing, Claude. Uwe. Uwe shares with us today. Here is my contribution. Picture attached. And Uwe says to us, here, this is a very cherished moment in 2005 with my 90-year-old dad, who I call Poppy. It was during the 50th wedding anniversary celebration. It was one of our last long one-on-one chats before his unexpected death a year later. I miss him, and I regret that I didn't have more of these long chats with him. Uwe, my dear friend, I just cherish that you got that one chat in. You know, some people don't, but thank you for sharing. You know, when I emailed those 3 pages of questions and thoughts out to the congregation, I hope just to spark a memory or a thought about fatherhood. Our number 7 entry comes from none other than Anton Robb. Anton shares with us. He says, I have an amazing father. He is kind and caring and understanding. His spastic decisions, like getting a little puppy and randomly saying the family will be hiking up the mountain, are what makes my childhood exciting. He is always there when I need him, whether I need to laugh or to cry. He helped me academically and pushed me to do the best that I can. My dad is amazing, and I love him very much. Oh, thank you, Anton. Value that special relationship you have with your dad. It is truly special. Number 8. Number 8 comes from Karen Anderson Cardova. Poppy. That is what I called my dad. If I were to describe him in 3 words, I would say musical, unassuming, and wise. He was an avid pianist. He consumed books constantly. He had a sardonic, witty sense of humor, And although my mom had the run of the house, his quiet, firm presence was always felt. He taught me to question and to analyze things before jumping to conclusions, to be kind to others, even if they were different or disagreed with me. But above all, he taught me to be humble. He and my mom provided us with a stable, loving home where there was not a dull moment. I can still hear him playing the piano and occasionally swearing under his breath when he hit a wrong note. And I miss our conversations and his wise, calm counsel. I miss him and I think of him every day. Te quiero, papi, que falta me haces. I hope I got the Spanish right. Karen, oh, how wonderful, and thank you for sharing. Our ninth entry today is going to come from Jim Scow. When you turn 18, I'm kicking you out of the house. My father started telling me this before I could remember, because I was never surprised when he told this. That's just the way it was. Not until my son Eric was born did I realize that he said this more for himself than for me. A father has a mere 18 years to get a child ready for adulthood. You want your child ready to face the world at 18? Then parent accordingly. Jim, now that's a true lesson learned. And thanks again, Jim. Our 10th entry in today's Father's Day comes from none other than Richard Fuller. Richard says, Ed, my dad was a Georgia Tech engineering graduate and a strong advocate for education, especially for his son. When I expressed reluctance in doing my schoolwork, his advice was given in the form of a stern question. Do you want to be out digging ditches? That sounds like Richard. Hallelujah and amen, Richard. Thank you. Number 11, shocking. My father, Abdur Rab, is my biggest hero. He grew up in a tiny village in Bangladesh with no father. And yet he had straight A's all the way to Harvard. And furthermore, he never imposed his incredible intelligence and success upon anyone. He always looked for and lived by what is the truth, what is moral. His disciplined daily meditations, very immersive work habits, measured speaking and writing, all had a lasting effect on me. More than words, he taught me by example. You learned the lesson well, my friend, and you pass it on. Thanks for sharing. Number 12 in our list of Father's Day stories comes from Mike and Beth Klein. Titled Celebrating Fatherhood at Emerson, and subtitled, What's Your Best Advice for New Fathers? Tell it straight now, tell it straight. Mike Klein gave every father-to-be and new father this wise and simple advice speech. He'd say, can I give you some advice about the fatherhood thing? No matter what the request or statement is from your lovely new mom-to-be or partner, here's the very best answer, and please repeat it after me. You're right, I'm wrong, and I'll fix it. That pretty much keeps everything going during the 9 months of pregnancy and up to the baby's first birthday. So good luck, and don't forget what I told you. You're right, I'm wrong, and I'll fix it. It worked great for me. Y'all need to write that down. You're right. I'm wrong. I'll fix it. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate your being with Emerson. And number 13, from Isaac McConville. My dad lovingly calls me Tink Tink, even though my name is Isaac. My dad taught me a lot of things like learning to swim, dive off the diving board, my multiplication tables, and we do science experiments. He's always so much fun. Yep, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fathers and mothers and grandparents, and the winner of this year's Father's Day stories, the winner for using the fabulous magic word of the day is Isaac McConville, for using that magic word, fun. He said, my dad is so much fun. Thank you, Isaac Tink Tink McConville. So, you know, when all is said and done, good and bad, right or wrong, dads will be dads and lessons will be learned. Please join us for worship reflections today, where if you have a story to tell or a photograph to show, join us. We'd love to hear from you. You can check the order of service for the link. So please join us now in singing hymn number 338, I Seek the Spirit of a Child.
I seek the spirit of the child who lives life naturally, the child who sings the world alive and greets the morning sun with glee. Children are real beyond the Lord. May I see joys and give to our heart. I seek the freedom of a child who loves instinctively, who lights our day with just a smile and shines that light on all we see. Children are real beyond the fears. May I see hope's a gift to our tears. I seek the wonder of a child who sees delightfully, not clouds and cloud, not golden sun, imaginations true and free. Children are real beyond the wise. May I see faith's a gift to our eyes.
The vision of this congregation is to be a beacon of love, justice, and service. As you are able, please affirm your support for this vision through a monetary offering. When we give, we say yes to something we value, and we sincerely hope that you have found great value here today. We hope you will return again to worship and to join us as a community that works for positive change in our world. The methods of giving are being displayed on the screen.
as we end our service, I ask each of you to take a moment to reflect on those children separated from their fathers when they reached our US border searching for freedom and promises that they had dreamed of. And please, let us take a moment of reflection for those children whose fathers and or mothers are incarcerated. Upwards of 2.3 million people in America locked up in jails, detention centers, state and federal prisons, leaving these children lonely and afraid, missing the love of those valuable lessons as they grow. May they find compassion and peace. Let's not forget the children in foster homes or on the streets trying to survive a cruel system that left them almost totally forgotten. May they be safe from harm and never hungry. And let us remember the kids who long for their father's touch, but he's off serving his country on missions we sometimes don't understand. Plus those left behind when the ultimate sacrifice was death. And please don't forget the fathers lost as a result of racial injustice. You know, George Floyd was a father. His children will miss him forever. And all the fallen people who have been separated from their fathers due to the brutality inflicted by unjust policing in America. Don't forget them. Please don't forget them. Please don't forget any of them.
As we extinguish this chalice, join me in the response in your order of service. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the fire of commitment, or the warmth of community. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again.